Imagine throwing a massive house party. You renovate your kitchen, expand the driveway, hire security, stock the bar, and pay for the cleanup. Then a third party walks in. He stands at your front door and charges every guest an entry fee. He hangs corporate banners in your living room, banners you're not allowed to take down. He tells your neighbors they can't sell lemonade on the sidewalk because it competes with his official beverage partner. And at the end of the night, he leaves with a suitcase full of cash, tax-free, while you sit at the kitchen table, staring at a renovation loan you'll be paying off for the next decade. That is the financial architecture of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. This tournament is projected to generate $13 billion across a single 4-year cycle, a 72% jump over the last World Cup in Qatar. And virtually none of that money flows back to the cities building the stadiums, paving the roads, and staffing the emergency rooms. To understand where the money goes, you have to understand what FIFA is from an operational standpoint. FIFA doesn't own stadiums. It doesn't employ construction workers. It doesn't fund road widening projects or transit expansions. What FIFA owns is intellectual property, the World Cup brand, global broadcast rights, exclusive sponsorship categories. That is the product. And it's an extraordinarily high margin product because virtually the entire cost structure sits on someone else's balance sheet. Historically, FIFA worked through local organizing committees, semi-autonomous bodies in each host country that retained partial operational control and some share of the commercial upside. For 2026, FIFA dismantled that model entirely. In its place, it created a centralized entity called FIFA World Cup 26 LLC that directly controls ticketing, hospitality, marketing, and tournament delivery across all 3 host nations. FIFA even brought hospitality management in-house for the first time, and that stream alone is projected at roughly $3 billion. You build the stadium, you pave the roads, you staff the police barricades. A centralized LLC walks in, collects billions, and walks out when the final whistle blows. Before a city can even submit a bid, it has to sign a document called a government guarantee. This isn't a term sheet. It's a binding legal contract, and it is non-negotiable. We know what's in these contracts because a journalist named Bob Mackin spent 3 years filing Freedom of Information requests, 98 pages, released in July 2025. Toronto's was obtained separately through the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. The terms are remarkably one-sided. The host city commits to absorbing 100% of infrastructure costs. If the budget spirals, the city covers the deficit alone. The same applies to security, all provided at no cost to FIFA. And the contract indemnifies FIFA against financial losses if the event is changed, relocated, or canceled. You don't have to theorize about what happens when these terms hit municipal reality. Foxborough, Massachusetts, a town of 18,000 people, home to Gillette Stadium, calculated that hosting 7 World Cup matches would cost $7.8 million in police, fire, and emergency services. FIFA's model designates security as a host obligation. No upfront funding mechanism was offered. So the Foxborough Select Board refused to issue the entertainment license. The standoff lasted months. It was only resolved when the Kraft Group, the private owners of the New England Patriots, stepped in alongside the local organizing committee to guarantee that Foxborough would bear no financial burden. On March 17th, the board voted unanimously to approve the license. A private stadium owner had to subsidize municipal emergency services because the World Cup's financial architecture pushes those costs onto the smallest unit of government in the chain. And Foxborough isn't alone. Chicago and Minneapolis withdrew from the hosting process in 2018, citing FIFA's inflexibility on financial terms. Montreal withdrew in 2021 after Quebec declined to provide funding. FIFA is registered in Zurich as a Swiss non-profit association, but it also holds tax-exempt status with the IRS. Since June of 1994, FIFA has been classified under Section 501(c)(4) of the Internal Revenue Code, a civic league and social welfare organization. That means FIFA pays 0 federal income tax in the United States on its tournament-related revenue. And FIFA doesn't rely solely on existing status. It requires host nations to go further. In Mexico, the federal government wrote World Cup tax exemptions directly into the federal revenue law for fiscal year 2026. FIFA and entities involved in organizing the tournament receive exemptions from payment, withholding, and collection of various federal taxes. These aren't loopholes, they're legislated concessions. In the United States, individual states passed their own bills. Georgia extended a sales tax exemption to World Cup tickets. Estimated revenue loss? $25 million. Florida expanded tax-exempt admissions for matches in Miami. Estimated revenue loss? $7.4 million. Missouri created a ticket sales tax exemption for Kansas City, an estimated revenue loss, $11 million. And here's the structural irony. While FIFA is shielded from income tax, the players on the field are not. Because the World Cup spans 3 countries, a single player can get taxed by multiple governments on the same income. The US automatically withholds a cut of any earnings made on American soil. Individual states like California and New Jersey pile on their own income tax for games played within their borders. And then, the player's home country may tax that same income again under their worldwide earnings rules. So the organization running the tournament, generating $13 billion, pays nothing. But the athletes actually playing the games get a tax bill from every jurisdiction they set foot in. In May 2026, the Canadian Parliamentary Budget Officer published a report on federal financial support for the World Cup. Total public expenditure across all levels of government is $1.66 billion for 13 matches. That is an average public cost of $82 million per game. The federal government alone is spending $473 million. Provincial and municipal governments are absorbing another $593 million on top of that. At the city level, Toronto's approved hosting budget sits at $380 million. Vancouver is larger and still climbing. The PBO estimated $578 million for 7 matches, but the BC government's own updated projections push the gross figure to between $685 and $729 million. The extraction model doesn't stop at tax exemptions and infrastructure costs. FIFA also controls the physical, commercial landscape around every venue. The mechanism is called a clean zone. Within defined geographic areas around each stadium, local businesses face strict restrictions on unauthorized commercial activity, like no non-official branding, no promotional materials, no marketing activations that could create an unauthorized association with the tournament. In the US, these are codified in local law. Houston, for example, enacted a specific clean zone ordinance, designating 4 commercial districts as restricted zones from late May through late July 2026. During the 2010 World Cup in South Africa, municipal police enforced clean zone bylaws. Street vendors were evicted and goods seized. Amnesty International documented the impact on informal traders. In Brazil in 2014, the federal government passed the Lei Geral da Copa, a temporary national law classifying certain ambush marketing as criminal offenses. These aren't hypothetical risks, but documented patterns. If it's so bad, why do cities sign up? Part of the answer is political incentive. Elected officials get the upside of announcing a World Cup. The costs are diffused across bond issuances that won't come due until those officials have moved on. And there's a genuine belief in the indirect economic multiplier, the hotel bookings and the tourism bump. But the academic literature is clear. Victor Matheson, an economist at the College of the Holy Cross, has a line that captures the research consensus. Beware of economists bearing reports showing great benefits from mega events. A comprehensive 2022 academic study reviewed mega event financials from 1964 to 2018 and found that 4 out of 5 resulted in a financial deficit for the host. The visitor spending is real, but it rarely offsets the public capital expenditure, especially when the primary revenue streams are contractually captured by the organizing body. The stadiums are built, the clean zone ordinances are on the books, the tax exemptions are legislated, the police overtime budgets are finalized. And when the final match ends, FIFA will close out its $13 billion cycle, the most lucrative in the organization's history, and begin planning the next one. The 2030 World Cup is already awarded to Morocco, Spain, and Portugal. Those host nations are signing government guarantees right now.